What's going on, everybody? The new Cavalier Difficulty has been out for about a week now, and I've been getting questions every night, my thoughts on it, and it's been fun talking about it, but, you know, maybe it's time to just put it in one dedicated spot on the internet here. So, let's talk about the Cav Difficulty rewards, let's talk about the content itself, if I feel like it's too restrictive, and also kind of want to help you guys out if you're having a hard time getting through some of the more challenging nodes of the quest. So the quick kind of too long didn't watch version of this video is that the rewards are underwhelming. They should be changed a bit, and the content, in my opinion, is not restrictive at all, and it's a little bit concerning that people are having a hard time getting through this content. And I don't mean that in an insulting way. I mean that in a I'm afraid the game is going to become too easy way, where we don't have to think at all to get through content. And I don't want that, because then I will become bored of this game and I will stop playing this game. So we're going to talk about all that, but I guess we'll start with the rewards first. So reward wise, when I first saw the rewards, I was a little bit neutral on them. They didn't feel great. They didn't feel terrible. You know, I was kind of thinking, hey, kabam, maybe they're just trying to spread out the rewards to in a different way than when Uncollected came out, where the Uncollected rewards were awesome and the side event rewards were just sometimes okay. And with the Cav, I was thinking they were trying to just kind of put them on equal footing. And when thinking about it that way, I felt okay about the rewards at first. But then I realized, as we talked about them more, that I shouldn't just feel okay about the rewards when they're brand new. Right? Feeling neutral about rewards when they're brand new means that 6 months from now, they're going to feel kind of crappy. You know, it's because the way it works in this game is, right, like every time rewards get buffed up in one area, it feels really good. And then as time goes on, as the other areas get their reward buffs, it just goes around in a cycle where, like, the first thing that got buffed is starting to feel kind of crummy at that point again, right? And then it's time to buff that again. So, yeah, I should be feeling neutral about these rewards 6 months from now, not today. So what I think should be done is buff up the 6-star shards. Right now there's 5,000 in total when you look at where they're all coming from the individual quests and paths and things like that. There's 5,000 in total. I think that should be about 7,500 to 10K. The 6-star pool is massive. You know, if the 6-star pool didn't expand as quickly as it did, then I think keeping the number of shards down would be okay, actually, but it's massive, dude. So we need more opportunities to like, you know, awaken these champions, add 6 to them, things like that. So I don't think it'd be a problem to bump up the shards there. The tier 5 class catalyst, I was expecting to see a 25% crystal here, whether just a straight up 25% crystal or broken up into smaller crystals and distributed throughout the quest. I don't really care. I'm not going to be too picky on that. Personally, I prefer these smaller crystals for those times where you're close to forming one. You just have more opportunities to actually form them. But I could also see an argument being made for a 25%. Or either way, 10% here feels a bit weak. 25% is what we got out of the Act 6 story content. And yeah, that content, like completing each one of those chapters, was more difficult. But that content also came out a long time ago. And again, these rewards, this is gonna have to last. It's you know, unless they want to keep buffing up the rewards slightly every couple of months or something like that. I think putting 25% here would be fine. And technically we're getting 20% right now when including the 10% from the challenge mode, but I think that should be taken out. Not the challenge mode. I actually love the challenge mode. So happy Kabam added it. I can't wait to see what else they do with it. The only thing really missing is a way to keep track of your accomplishments in your profile. There should be something here to indicate that, hey man, you did it. You beat this challenge, the same way that we have the Legends title up there. But in any case, I think that they should remove the 10% from the challenge mode and just make it flat out 20% for the regular quest. And I'm going to talk about the challenge mode rewards in a minute. I also want to quickly touch upon whether I think this should be random or selector. And I 100% believe that this should be random. I think there's other areas of the game to add selectors to, and I'm going to name 4 of them right now. Number 1, story content. I mean, basically, it's all the areas that are not repeatable. And yeah, we can't repeat this more than once in a month, but we get this quest every month, right? So story content is a one-time thing ever. So story content is a good place to put selectors. Other challenging content like the Abyss or Summer of Pain, it's a great place to put them. Certain special offers, you could put them there as well. And I mean, I said it was going to be 4. I could have sworn I had a different one. Maybe just other challenge mode stuff, I guess. I don't know. The bottom line is the stuff that's repeatable, the stuff that's, just kind of the standard content. I actually want that to stay random. I think that's part of what makes Marvel Contest of Champions so good. We all have different accounts. We're all dealt different hands in this game, and it's up to us to determine how to best play them. You play a card game and you don't always get the exact cards you want, but that doesn't mean you lose the game. You figure out a way to try to win the game with whatever cards you have. And that's the way I see Marvel Contest of Champions. Sometimes we get the champions we want, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we get the catalysts we want, sometimes we don't. And when you have some areas of the game to take away that random element for the times where you're just on a streak of just getting screwed, of getting everything that you don't want, that makes up for it. Selectors in some areas makes up for it, but I want there to be a fairly heavy element of randomness to this game, because it makes all of our accounts different, and it makes us come up with creative solutions to problems to get through content. So yeah, I want it to stay random. The Sig Stones, let's talk about this next. So the 10 6-star Sig Stones, this is what I was expecting. This is actually the only area that Kabam actually nailed for what I was expecting, but that's only because Kabam, they're incredibly stingy for Sig Stones. So I was expecting the worst, and this is the worst. It doesn't mean it's right. So I think 10 random Sig Stones here are fine, but here's where we're going to go back to the challenge mode. So the challenge mode, I think, should have generic Sig Stones. I think it should have 10 generic ones. So you get 10 random ones for completing the quest and an additional 10 generic ones if you complete the challenge. And yes, this is a repeatable sort of thing in the game, but that's assuming you're going to be able to take on the challenge every month. And I don't think every player is going to be able to take on the challenge every month, whereas I think most Cavalier level players will be able to do the monthly every month, So it's I think in this case we could remove some of that RNG because it's an additional challenge mode, and have just 10 of each. And if those were the rewards, I would look forward to Cavalier every month. I would look forward to adding 10 Sig levels to the champion of my choosing every month, in addition to the rest of the rewards that I'm getting. So that's what I think the rewards should be changed to. Okay, moving on to the actual content itself. Dude, I think the content was damn near perfect. I didn't find it restrictive whatsoever, and I'm not just talking about because I have a large roster. I'm saying even if I was pretty fresh to the Cavalier title, as long as I had maybe a little bit more time than like McFabio took, right? If maybe if I got there in a week or 2 weeks, then maybe I would not have the best options for it. But I think for the normal player, even if they sped their way there in a matter of like 2 or 3 months or something like that, probably have the champions you need. And I want to talk about each individual quest. First, though, I want to talk about the one thing that I would change about the difficulty. I would make it so that one path in each quest, whatever the kind of designated easy path is, I would chop 25% of the total health of the boss, just completely off. So, just through some sort of linked node or whatever. So, like, I don't remember how much health this boss had, but Apocalypse, the final boss of the Cavalier Monthly, has about 400,000 health. I would drop that down to 300,000 health for the initial clear, and then just leave the health there for the other ones. You had a way to amplify your damage, so 400,000 health with a way to amp up your damage. I practically killed the dude in a single special 2 from Corvus. That health is fine, but for the easy path, take some of that health away. So that's what I would do there. That's the only change. Everything else I thought was perfect, man. And we're gonna go through node by node, and I'll explain what I'm talking about. So the first quest, I don't think most people's problem is not in the first quest, but let's talk about it quickly anyway. So each one of these quests has 2 nodes. One is class-based, and the other kind of goes along with it. So this one, Punishment Glutton. Skill attackers gain a permanent passive fury, increasing attack rating 10% each time a bleed or incinerate debuff is purified or expires on the opponent. Max 20 stacks. So you can fairly quickly get up to 200% increased attack if you're using a champ that has a reliable bleed, which the skill class is chock full of, or incinerate here. I don't think it's an issue that, you know, yeah, there's some skill champions that can't reliably take advantage of this, I guess. I don't think that's an issue at all. There's so many options. And in addition to that, you're not required to even have these bleeds or anything like that. You can use any champion. For a lot of these fights, I didn't even use a skill champion. I don't really like the skill class that much. I never run deep wounds. And I kind of just wanted to screw around using champions that I was more comfortable with. I used Hyperion for half of these fights. Didn't really matter. There's this node here, Polka Dot Power as well, where the attacker gains no power from landing or receiving attacks. Instead, they are granted 12% of a power bar per second while the defender is suffering from a damaging debuff. So, again, any debuff will do here. Any damaging debuff, I should say. But you also didn't have to use this. You don't have to use specials with champions. You could quite easily ramp up your damage in other ways to, you know, quickly chew through these fights, whether it's a Star-Lord-esque champion with the combo count buildup, or Stark Spidey, or champions that gain Furies, anything really, right? But ideally you're using skill champions, and there are many of them. The other nodes for each of the paths, they're a joke. We have Outlast, which reduces damage by up to 20% proportion to missing health. Listen, Cavalier players see this and ignore it, I assume. And if you're not ignoring it, then you're wasting your time reading it. I don't know. Then we have no node here whatsoever on this path. And then we have Protection Shielding on this path, which will maybe slightly slow you down, but not by much. Because yeah, it caps the damage, but then it goes on cooldown. And it's not a big deal, like, at all. All right, so let's move on to the next quest, because we have 5 more quests to go through, and I want to spend a little bit more time on the nodes that are you know, that are a bit more restrictive. So let's go on to the second quest here, and this one is all about science champions. So again, each one of these quests has 2 nodes that are just global, and then on the path have 1 additional node. And one of the paths do not have a blank node, or you know, do not have an additional node. But okay, so scientific exploit on this one. Science attackers gain a permanent passive fury, increasing attack rating by 10% each time a debuff expires on the defender. And then we also have Diss Track here, which says the defender takes 100% less damage while they have less than 3 debuffs applied to them. These debuffs can be of the same type. Okay, so here's where I can kind of understand at first glance that this quest would feel very restrictive. Let's go ahead and take a little look-see at Aunt May. And I just want to look at all the science champions in the game. And I could certainly pick out a few that would do a great job in this quest. We have Cap Beardo, one of the best options, but of course he's got to be awakened. Even a 4-star Beardo will do, though. But yeah, if he's awakened, he'll be great for it. I think 3 out of the 4 Fantastic Four members with Torch, Invisible Woman, and Mr. Fantastic would be good. I don't think Thing would be good, though, right? Void would be great. Because, like, here's the thing. You really only need 2 debuffs from these champions. Because everyone has parry stun, right? None of these champions are stun immune. There's a couple of champions sprinkled throughout this quest, like Mordo, where parry stun is not going to work. And this is a little bit of an annoying fight, but... and then, like, Maw is the other one. But for the most part, all these other champions, you could put debuffs on them without worry, really. So yeah, a couple of annoying fights in there, but really not too bad. Because you have 1 debuff from a parry stun, and then you just need 2 other debuffs. Now you might be saying, okay, well, yeah, this is restrictive, because what if you don't have Beardo, or any of the Fantastic Four members, or Void, or Joe... I almost... Oh, geez, dude, I almost called Luke Cage Joe Fix, but Luke Cage will also work really well here, too. What if you don't have those champions? Okay, well, what about the other class types? in the skill class. Are you telling me you don't have a skill champion that has 2 bleeds to them along with the parry stun? Half the damn Cavalier players, if not more, have Blade, and they have him maxed out because of everyone saving for Blade. You telling me this guy would have a rough time in this quest? You know, there's a bunch of champions in here that might be on a little bit on the underwhelming side, but they've also been given synergies recently, like Black Panther. So I would say he's an option. If you have the Hulkbuster synergy, which, speaking of Hulkbuster, he would be an option, right? Because he has shocks on his heavy. And again, parry stun is one of them. He even has like a power lock mechanic to him, right? That has a debuff. Maybe, yeah, it wouldn't be as good as if you had the ideal setup with one of the science champions. But, I mean, come on. You're telling me you don't have at least a 455 of one of these champions that can do it? One of the many skill champions that has bleed to them? Or let's look at Mutant. We've got Sunspot. We've got all of the Wolverine types of champs they can put bleeds on. I don't even remember if Storm could easily get debuffs or not. I think she has what, like prowess and then more instant type shock. I'm not even sure. I can't remember. But yeah, Namor, he can blow the opponent up with a special 3 combo because his bleeds, it's a 60% chance, right? And with the stuns and all that, he can easily do it. Archangel can very easily do this quest. He doesn't even need to be awakened. That's the thing, is like, I could understand if you're saying, all right, these champions need to be awakened and stuff, but I mean, as we even go back to science, these champs don't need to be awakened. Maybe Void does. Maybe you could say Void does, but even him, it wouldn't be the ideal time, but even he can get through it without being awakened. The Fantastic Four members, they don't need to be awakened, right? Most of the skill champions don't need to be awakened. Blade, Gwenpool, these guys still need to be awakened. Let's move on though. I don't want to pick out every single champion here. As we move on to the Cosmic class, are you telling me there's not Cosmic champions that can handle this node as well? We've got armor breaks, we've got bleeds from all the symbiote type champs, including Carnage, which is an often forgot about champion that can you know, stack up some bleeds and armor breaks and things like that. We've got some armor breaks from Vision Arcus. We've got some stacking ones from OG Thor here, right? I think he can get 2 armor breaks on his parries. That combined with the parry stun that you want to be doing all the time anyway. We've got the Incinerates from Hyperion spamming special 1. We've got champion options for days. Let's move on to the Mystic class type. Sorcerer Supreme can do these nodes. Man-Thing can do these nodes. You can very easily just heavy attack the opponent one time with Claire and do this, you know? So I think most people that are Cavalier level, they at least have a handful of options, of 5-star options that would be able to get through this quest. But even if you don't, 4-star champions will do here. Sure, the opponents have lots of health. I think it's over 200,000 health. Yeah, over 200,000 health, but you tell me a 4-star Archangel wouldn't shred through this? Pretty good. 4-star Archangel can take out Realm of Legends Winter Soldier in under 2 minutes. Sure, that fight's a little bit different because the opponent doesn't have a special 3, so you can really pressure him even when you're stunning him and stuff like that. So okay, might have to slow down a tiny bit here, but with life transfer and all that, come on, man. It's like getting Cavalier title is so much harder than actually doing this quest. I cannot imagine someone not having the champion options to get through this quest. And sure, you can't use literally every single champion in your roster to get through Diss Track, but you've got options, and we have the dual class crystal that you can turn towards if you know, if you really just want to kind of fix that hole in your roster for future months and stuff like that. You need to have some kind of challenge, otherwise you're gonna have no hope at getting through other content as time goes on, and there's gonna be no reason to think whatsoever, and we just face roll all over every single quest in this game. If I was a fresh level Cav player, I would still get through this stuff. All right, let's move on to the next one. We've got some other quests to talk about. Okay, I don't remember what this quest is. Oh, you know what? This is probably the tech one. Yep. Okay, so the tech one, This node, I didn't find all that helpful to me, and I mostly just ignored. But you can use any class type and just ignore this node and be fine. The other nodes in this quest, they're not too difficult to deal with. Any Cav level player should be able to just treat this as a blank canvas of nodes practically, and be fine. But if you do have a couple of the stronger tech options that have some natural power drain or armor ups, then you'll have an okay time. You'll have a more enjoyable time, like Warlock. I didn't try Vision, but I'm sure Vision would probably be able to handle this. I'm actually going to use Red Skull next time I go through this quest, just for fun. Because I think, the more I think about it, if it's 20 stacks of 15% Fury, I think Red Skull would actually hit like a truck, man. I think he'd do pretty good. It's 300% additional attack he's gonna have. So yeah, Red Skull should be pretty fun. But in any case, yeah, let's move on, because you could literally use any class type and get through this quest just fine. Also important to note, the bosses, they don't have these nodes, so you can bring in just a few champions to counter the restrictions, if you want to call them that even, and then just bring the high level, you bring other champions to counter the bosses. Okay, so this is the Cosmic Quest, where it's Cosmic Grit and Buffed Up paired up across the board. Buffed Up says you have to have 3 buffs, essentially, or else you cannot do damage. You have to have 3 buffs on your champions. Cosmic Grit is cosmic attackers who reach a total of 4 Fury armor up or precision buffs gain an indefinite aptitude buff, increasing the potency of all future Fury armor and precision buffs by 25% each time they gain a Fury armor up or precision buff beyond 4. So you want 3 buffs in order to deal damage, but you want to get to a 4th so that you can take advantage of this Cosmic Grit. And what's nice is they don't need to be 4 constant buffs. If you have someone even like the champion, right? He has Fury buffs that cycle once you gave him some time to get his persistent charges. But you're not always going to have them active, so it might feel like you're never going to do damage. But those trigger the aptitude buffs, and the aptitude buffs count towards Buffed Up. So you only need to have these champions have buffs for a short time. And then also the Dexterity Mastery is a precision buff, so that counts towards this. You can, if you have a 3-star Heimdall, you can use virtually every single champion in the game other than champions that are immune to buffs, of which I think only one exists at the moment. So you could do something like this. Grab your 3-star Heimdall or any star level, 3-star or above. The 2-star does not work, but 3-star or above. It's hard to imagine a Cavalier level player would not have at least a 3-star of this, but I suppose, you could have gotten really unlucky. There's some other options besides this that I'm going to talk about, but you have a permanent Fury and a permanent precision buff from this. That's 2 buffs right there. Then literally any champion that can gain a heal buff or an armor up or a single Fury or anything, man, can do this quest. So yeah, this would be 3 slots on your team. But these are 2 cosmic champions right here in Angela and Hela. As much as I hate Hela, she would handle this quest fine as well. Angela absolutely decimates it. You don't even need the Heimdall synergy if you have her, right? These 2 champions, yeah, they probably wouldn't have a good time. But this still leaves you, plenty of room to add any champion that you want and still have 1 slot left for the boss. But even if, let's say, you don't have Heimdall, let's name some champions that don't need Heimdall. We have Angela, Black Bolt, Carnage, Colossus, Gamora, Hela, Hyperion. I know, by the way, most of these are cosmic, but I am throwing in Colossus, who's not. I'm also going to throw in Magneto, who's not. But yeah, King Groot with some of these might need some other type of synergy for you to have a good time. So with King Groot, you'd want to have Man-Thing to have a good time. But even if you didn't have Man-Thing, you can get the job done with King Groot. It would be slow, but you can get it done. Who else did I not say? Medusa, the champion. There's some kind of meme level champions of, you know, Groot, Kamala Khan, Red Skull. I would say Venom the Duck would be good, but a little bit hard to kind of work out at first. The first fight would be rough, but after that, I'd be fine. But the point is, there's so many champions that can do these quests. You know, I'm really not even naming every single champion, but there's a lot. If you're a Cavalier level player and you're feeling too restricted by this, I don't really know what to say. Other than to maybe try again. Maybe take a look and just try again. And I'm talking about, again, I'm not talking about from the perspective of my own account here. I'm talking about the perspective of anyone who hit Cav and has been playing this game for at least 3 months. You have to have options, and I refuse to believe that there are no options. And if you really have no options, send me on Twitter pictures of your entire account, and I will tell you what champions to use. If you need that sort of assistance, okay. But I'm just going to point out champions that I called out in this video. So you could probably figure it out on your own if you got to Cav. But again, I will help you if that's what it comes down to. Because the game, it can't get watered down too much to the point where we don't have to think at all. The game's going to be garbage if that's the case. And I'm just going to stop playing if that's what the game turns into. Let's move on. We have 2 more quests to look at. First one, this is the mutant one. Okay, so Seeing Red. So the 2 nodes that are working in tandem here are Seeing Red and Biohazard. So Biohazard, most players are familiar with. When you attack the opponent, you put a bleed on yourself. When you attack into their block, you put a poison on yourself. Okay, then we have Seeing Red. So mutant attackers reduce the potency of bleed debuffs by 50%. Additionally, when activating a special attack, they purify any bleed debuffs on themselves and gain a permanent passive prowess, increasing special attack damage by 20% for every bleed purified this way. Max stacks 20. Okay, so right off the bat, you don't need that, and you could just bring in any champion that is immune to bleed, and just don't attack their block. Congratulations, you've countered Biohazard, a node that came out a couple of years ago. You can make it through this quest. I'm starting to lose my voice because I don't know, out of things to say, I guess. But yeah, there are a bunch of mutant champions that could take advantage of this as well. I don't even know all of them off the top of my head. But I would say the most dominant mutants could definitely take advantage of it, which would be Omega Red, Colossus, I think both Magnetos, right? Namor. I don't know, like, I don't know the total damage that you would take if you're using someone that doesn't have any sort of anything to do with bleed. So I don't know how well Sunspot would work. Maybe you'd have to have Coagulate maxed out in order to be able to do it with him. But you can probably do it with champions that regenerate. Old Man Logan. There's certainly some other ones here. Emma Frost would probably be fine. Domino, I think, would be fine. I don't know. Is that enough? Did we already name like 8 or 9 champions or something like that? Along with just literally any champion that is immune to bleed can make it through this quest. Now, the most difficult part of this quest is certainly the boss, which I haven't found that many good counters to the boss. But Archangel worked out really well. Even the 4-star version, that's what I used for the challenge. Blade will work really well here, 5 or 4-star version. Omega Red will do fine here as well. There might be some others, but I really don't know. This boss was very difficult, and you may have a tough time with this. You should not have a tough time getting to magic, but you may have a tough time with magic. If someone else has more options of who they use for this, please put that in the comments, because I have not given that particular fight a ton of thought. But those few champions that I mentioned would be good. But let's move on to the final quest here. Okay, so final quest. We have, what are the 2 nodes here? Okay, so Mystic Consumption. I think it's Personal Space Hall. Let me look at a different path. Okay, yeah, Mystic Consumption and Personal Space. These are the two special nodes. So Mystic attackers gain a permanent passive prowess, increasing their special attack damage by 20% each time they nullify a buff or the opponent fails their buff roll, max attack 20. So, I mean, come on, almost every single Mystic champion would work for this quest, but even then, you're not restricted to using Mystic champions. You can use literally every single champion in the entire game in this quest. And then we have Personal Space, which my head's covering it. Let's go to a different node where I could see it better. While the attacker is close to the defender gains a Fury buff every 3 seconds, increasing their attack by 10% permanently. Oh boy, 10% attack. Who cares? This is not a difficult node to deal with. None of the nodes in this quest, I don't think, are difficult to deal with. Maybe there are some. I don't know. We have the Power Sting buff over here, so okay, don't use your specials right away when you gain a bar of power. I don't think this one's relevant. This video is going on too long, so before I end this video, I want to give a last little bit of advice on Apocalypse, and then give a little wrap up here. So, Apocalypse is pretty tough. I think you don't want to parry this guy. You don't want to bait out heavies either, really. He's pretty aggressive, so if you just on your regular dashbacks, if you kind of hesitate a little bit and you're like holding block for just a split second longer, and then before you kind of dash back out of harm's way again, he is kind of willing to throw his heavy, but ideally you're going to want to intercept this guy, and intercepting is tough. It certainly is, man. I'm not the best at intercepting, but you will massively increase your damage for intercepting. So it says while the attacker is suffering from a debuff, the defender gains a passive Fury, granting 200% attack rating, lasting until all debuffs on the attacker expire. So I guess you also have to have a debuff on them to take advantage of this, but there's plenty of ways to get a debuff and then intercept, and then oh, I'm sorry, it's actually while the oh wait, no, I'm looking at the wrong node. That's the problem. Okay, here we go. Foresight, this is what I wanted to look at. So intercepting the opponent's dash attack with a basic attack grants the attacker a passive Fury charge, increasing their attack rating by 200% for 5 seconds. I read the other node without even thinking about it, just because I kind of had in my head the way it worked. But so yeah, you don't need anything else other than an intercept, and you gain 200% attack. Combine this with some of the hardest hitting champions, the ones that have the guaranteed crits, like Corvus, like Ghost. You're gonna decimate this guy, but you don't need that even. Any champion will do as long as you get an intercept off. You'll amplify your attack and you'll have a pretty good time. I found Stark Spidey to be pretty good because he can auto evade the specials a bit. Oh, but then again, he had the poison himself, so maybe he wasn't that good. But just any champion to intercept, and that's pretty much it. The specials from this guy, I don't even know how to evade them. I mostly blocked them. The special one will put a poison on you, so maybe a poison immune champion would be good here. The special 2, I was trying to avoid. Special 2, it puts a degen on you, I think. But yeah, you kind of just want to blitz him down with the extra damage that you get from intercepting. Okay, again, just to kind of quickly wrap up my thoughts on the overall difficulty, though. I wish that there was one node on the easy path for each of these quests to drop the boss's health down by 25% in total. So that Apocalypse that we were just talking about, drop him down from 400,000 health to 300,000. And otherwise, I thought the quest was great. I feel like it's not too restrictive, even for fresh Cav level players. If you are having a hard time, let's talk about it. Let me help you out. Because I think there's answers that every Cav level player has in their rosters. And yes, we should have to at least use a little bit of brain power to get through it. A little bit of strategy. That's part of the game, guys. Come on. The only part that I really thought was not good is the rewards, and those should be changed to make them feel better for sure. But otherwise, that is my thoughts. I know maybe it's a little bit of a hot take that players have to use some strategy to get through these quests. Players who got through 6.1, which is a harder quest than this for sure. Maybe it's too big of an ask, but I don't think it is. I really don't think it's that bad. I don't think it's that restrictive. But I guess I will say at the end too, everyone is entitled to their opinion. So If you still really feel that it is too restrictive or too difficult, you know, leave Kabam that feedback. And I guess if there's enough of you that feel that way, then Kabam will probably make some sort of change. But I'll be pretty sad if they do, because it'll just be watering down this game, and it'll be kind of a joke. Also, last little bit of a reminder here, we have a way to target champions in the dual crystal. Take advantage of that. All right, do not target just one specific champion unless you're at a point in the game like I am, where I'm targeting Aegon so that I can do something like the Abyss. Target based on kind of groups and clusters of characters that you would need to get through content. All right, that is going to do it for this video, though. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.